Hey girl, it's good to see you. How have you been? The He is miracle food. It's the best for detoxing, cleansing, healing, removing inflammation, and boosting your immune system. It's suitable for all ages, and it helped me out tremendously during pregnancy. Allergen-free, gluten-free, 100% organic, all-natural, and vegan. ChakraDoctor.org. 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 818-429-1675.
5 course meals, that's us. We the inventors of the science and mathematics. We the inventors of astronomy and astrology. Cushion Egyptian, ancient African DNA. It's all in my biology. Hope my people are proud of me. I'm just setting the light on a lot of dark places in our society. Minds covered in poverty. Universal creator, hear me, cause I'm praying for you to get us out of it. Wicked nations run by the corporations.
Yeah. Peace, y'all. What's good? We in the house.
I'm trying to fix my lights.
She's trying to fix her light. We'll wait till it gets fixed and bring her back in. What's up, family? Peace to the guys. Peace to the earths. I see all my peoples. Peace, Miss Ravioli. I see you. LeBron Curry. Rico L said he just rolled a fresh one. About to do the same. Kaba Praxis says free Mumia. You're goddamn right. Where was his presidential pardon? Where was his presidential pardon? I mean, shout out to Harry O and Kodak Black and Lil Wayne and all these guys. But can we get a pardon for Mumia?
Hey.
Peace, Queen.
Now, wait, I'm about to say, is the light too far back? What's happening?
You're a little dark. Look, you're a little dark. That's why we're supposed to test it.
Well, why you laugh already? Gosh.
Because 8 o'clock. Like, people are here at that time, ready to get going.
They could listen to the damn music.
I know. I was going to do that.
All right, hold on.
Go ahead. Yeah, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. We here. My man just says he needs about 5 minutes anyway, so we good. Welcome back, y'all, to Yanadameen Godcast. I am Lord Jamar. That is Digga. Why, thank you, Walking Art. Said before I forget, love the Godcast, doing the damn thing. Mumia, yes. That's right. We appreciate you. Thank you for your donation. Respect everybody tuning in. Make sure you click that like button. If you this is your first time, make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Click all so you know when we fitting to go, when we dropping interviews or when we going live. This is our third and final interview of the week. Oh, it's been power packed this week. It's been power packed. Now here's my brother is about to come in right now. Now, before I bring you in, Godfrey, you can hear me, right? You hear me, Godfrey, right? Yeah, I'm sure he hears me. Hopefully he does. If you do have snacks, please put them in a bowl or something before you come on air. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, Godfrey. I'm just saying, bro.
I started laughing right away.
Snap, crackle, popping out this motherfucker.
Oh, that was funny.
What's goody?
Bowl.
Thank you. What's that about? What's that a bowl of? Some fucking
It's some organic chicken, and so I just came from the gym. I still got a head rush. I'm like,
right. So now you're gonna be clinking. Oh, that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be clinking.
No, I'm not gonna be like
clink, 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 clink. Yeah, like you're at a restaurant and shit.
I got another question, Judge, please.
Peace to Black. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate you. Right, you Black. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Doing the damn thing.
Word
Get
up.
the lighting right. Your lighting be right. It seemed like. What you got? A ring? What are you using?
I got these cool dope ass lamps, but I got like 4 ring lights. I don't even use it.
Wow. Yeah, your lighting is swell. Oh, when you go back there, you get a little dark. You get a little.
But yeah, that's why I come up.
Yeah, nah, you're good in the front light, but even in the back light, you're good.
Yeah, I can do that.
And your camera looks pretty damn crispy, I must say. Like, yeah, you're doing good. I like it.
You know what I'm saying?
I like the Richard Pryor T-shirt.
God damn, you niggas is crazy, Jack. I want to hear this Just Blaze motherfucker shit.
Got me flying through the air on a motherfucking T-shirt.
Shit, Donald Trump, fuck his ass. Niggas is happy than a motherfucker, Jack. But Kamala, I don't trust that bitch.
Hey. All right. Are we more lit up? I mean, I can bring them closer.
You're a little more lit up, a little better.
I got them turned all the way down because it was like spotlight.
Oh, no, now you're getting better. You're getting better. There you go.
I can turn them up.
You're getting better right there.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna turn them up.
What it is.
Huh?
You're leaning into the light, and that's what it is.
Nah, yeah, I'm about to turn them up. Turn up, turn up, turn up.
He was just having a little conversation with my man Richard. Richard over there eating chicken. This man must.
Oh, this side is actually more lit up than this side, and this
White
side got
people
all.
don't know how
This
to
is crazy. This is the side with all the lights over here, but this side is more lit up.
Well, I can see you much better. Much better.
Okay.
Let's see. Hang on. Let's go. Let's give you the solo. Ah, yes. That's
That works. All right.
You ready? Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you ready for your solos?
I
ready for my close-up, Mr. B. DeMille.
Okay. Cover my bonnet, pajamas, and shit. Hey, we working.
There we go.
All
There
right.
we go. So what's good, people?
Ain't shit. Ain't shit, man.
How we feeling on this Thursday, January 21st? Make it today's
almost
making today's math, wisdom, knowledge, all being born to understanding.
That's right.
Okay.
You gonna catch me sleeping.
Your wise words or your wise actions are a reflection of the knowledge that you have. And when you display that, it is understood by all around you. Peace to the gods and earth.
Peace to the gods and the earth.
Were you saying something, Godfrey?
That's it. Shit. I forgot. I was supposed to go out with somebody, but they were being a dick, and I was like, bye.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the way you're speaking to me. I said, peace. Because I was
really?
like, hey.
Wait, is this the same one that you went and had?
No. I was like this. I was like, hey, why don't we do this? I can't do that. I can't do it tonight. I have to run at 5:30 a.m. I said, okay, whatever. She goes, I thought we were going to do a video chat. I said, okay, whatever. I just said, whatever. Cool. That's cool. I don't like the way you're speaking to me. I said, peace. Fuck out of here. What?
Wait. I thought we was going to do a video chat.
Yeah.
What's that all about? Like, that's the new date? Hey.
Man, dude.
Let's have a video chat. What kind
But my thing is, and it's like, there's a Hinge. There's that app, that dating app thing.
Which, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch.
My buddy just said, hey, get on it just for shits and giggles. And it's so funny because you get on there.
Shiggle?
And for shiggles, man. Yeah. I get on there and then you just fuck around. I don't need it. I just go on there because my friend said, let's just fuck around. Some of these people say, you don't take this serious. I go, hell no, because I don't need it. People are traumatized. I love their requirements too. They got requirements. I go, that's why you're on here. It's your fucking requirements. That's why you're on this app.
Well, hey, I mean, if you could get on the app and find the person of your dreams with a checklist, go for it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. But there's a point where you're like,
do you really believe in the checklist? Do you really think that the motherfucker's being truthful? First of all, they're editing all their pictures, trying to make sure that they look the fucking best and all this. But our shit.
But I love when they come off.
Our guest
shit in the text. You're like, wow, no wonder. That's why you're still on this fucking thing.
Our guest is in the room. I'm gonna need you to finish chewing because we can't ready to get to it. God damn it! I know you're hungry.
No, I came out the gym. I'm all fucked up.
Listen, I don't even want to waste time.
Let's go
because a brother actually has some things he got to do after this, so I want to respect his time and all this. But I'm sure we have a lot to talk about because this man's illustrious career has spanned quite quite a nice span of time, and he's worked with, man, so many fucking legends in the game.
Including me, yay!
Including you. Listen, with no further ado, I want to bring my brother to the stage right now. Ladies and gentlemen, gods and earths, my brother, Just Blaze.
Hey!
Whoa! Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Can you
Pardon me, I was trying to have a much fresher setup, but because of the shoot that we're doing, everything is broken down, and I got back into the studio and I was like, oh shoot. So I have nothing set up, so I'm straight off the phone.
It's all good. Just give us a landscape if you could. If you give it, turn it to the side.
Oh, you want to see what's happening here? All right, hold on.
Just turn your phone just so you fill out the screen. You know what I mean?
All right. Oh! I see what you're saying. Got you.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Now later, if you want to give us a tour of the studio, that's up to you. But I'm just talking about landscape mode on your phone. What's good, my brother?
Digga, first name Rashia, Lord Jamar, God Allah, Derek X is on the flex. And oh wait, you're here too.
And that's Godfrey. And I'm like, and that's Godfrey.
Hey, what up?
Godfrey in the place to be.
What up,
you didn't have nothing on whack.
In the phone. Hold on 1 second. Let me plug in the phone.
Wait, hold on.
All right.
Something paused.
No, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with two people who I hold in high regard and someone that I consider an old friend.
Nice.
That old friend being Rod Digger.
Yeah, I'm about to say that would be me. Shit, we've actually had to like bunk in the studio together till Party and Bullshit was done. It's like this is like session number 9. I cannot leave the studio until this record is complete.
Right. One thing that I would say about that, I was thinking about this when I was on the way back to the crib while everything was being set up for what we got to do tomorrow, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, what's cool about my career is that I was able to do records with folks like Jay and Wayne and Drake and Mariah and everybody else. But I was able to also get to just hang out and really make my mark with folks like you or Joe.
Word.
And people, that looked like that came from where I came from, looked like what I look like. And that was really the dream come true for me. Ultimately.
That's what's up. I don't know. We just figured she'll be right back. Oh, here she is.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, that was some bullshit. Just as I was in the middle of being serenaded. I'm sorry.
I remember like the day I shot the video with Digga, I felt like, oh, I'm here now. Oh. Like I'm finally able to put the jersey stamp on something. The celebrities are coming to us as opposed to us going to them. If that makes sense.
That's a fact.
Like Swiss was there and a bunch of other people were there, and it was just every once in a while somebody will tweet me a picture from the video shoot, and I'm like, oh yeah, we did that.
Word up.
So you're from Patterson, New Jersey, yes?
Sir.
Now,
for
those of y'all that don't know, Patterson is a pretty fucking rough city. I know Newark is fucking rough, but Patterson is pretty fucking hardcore, yes?
Yeah, I mean, especially at this point now, we might be worse off than Newark. I don't know.
I'm thinking you might be. I think you might be. Yeah, like the murder. All that type of
we might be neck and neck. Newark kind of crazy. But see, with Newark,
but that's nothing to brag about.
Yeah, at all. At all.
There's a particular section of Newark, the streets with numbers, the number streets, I would say, is like the worst of Newark.
That's funny because the first property that I ever bought was in Hoboken, and when I got it, it was already like the area was already kind of gentrified, right? And we're like, oh, this is great, it's me and my wife and the kids and whatnot, and we're gonna be okay. And then a girl that I used to date when I was a kid, literally a kid, who also grew up in Hoboken, was like, you remember that this block was the block you didn't go past when you used to DJ out here? And I'm like, oh shit, you're right. Like for y'all, it was numbers. For us, it was or for Hoboken, I should say, it was any streets with presidential names. So once you got to Washington, Jefferson, anything like that, you didn't go past after a certain time.
Damn.
What was it like, young kid coming up in Patterson, you know, being exposed to hip hop? How'd you get into hip hop originally? How'd you go from just being a fan to becoming a participant?
Hold on. Before I tell that story, give me 1 second, and I hope you guys don't go off camera. But hold up.
Off real quick. Bring him back in. If you're just joining us, we got legendary super producer Just Blaze
in the house
right about this time.
And we were just discussing which hood is more fucked up, the hoods in Patterson or the hoods in Newark.
Right. And you know, we're feeling like it might be neck and neck, you know.
That is cruddy that motherfuckers would brag about that shit. Oh shit, my shit.
Oh, my shit.
They clean Newark the fuck up. I ain't gonna hold you, but it's just certain parts like those number streets. Like it's just you can, you know what they say,
right?
I think for me, I'm sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
If I had to start it out in a certain place, it would have to be at my Aunt Eleanor's house.
Whose house?
My Aunt Eleanor. Oh, rest in peace. 24th Street, 10th Ave, in Patterson. And we used to have a record store right around the corner, and my older cousin would always feed me the 12 inches after the album came out. So say Fat Boys came out, like back when they were the Disco 3.
Right.
Say Fantasy 3 Is Your Rock came out, or Crash Crew on the radio came out.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm relatively young. I'm 43.
Because I'm like, you kind of naming records that I feel like you almost shouldn't know about. What's that about?
That's why I'm friends with a lot of 60-year-olds. Because I know all this stuff that came.
Fantasy MCs. I'm like, how does he know that? This is my era he's talking about.
Right. So when those records came out, my cousin gave them to me when they got old. So for me, like Rock the Mic is based on Fantasy 3 Is Your Rock.
Wow.
But that sounds crazy, right? But think about it. If you go back and listen to Fantasy 3 and listen to
ding 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 ding.
Nah, not that part.
It's hot because if you
the hi-hat.
Right.
That was taken from the instrumental of it. Or the idea of it was. The version that started with the thunder bombs. With the
right.
It's all about boom, boom, cat, boom, 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 cat, boom, boom, cat, boom, boom, boom. So that's where it started for me. That record again, Crash Crew.
And I used to work with Dal C. Rest in peace, Dal C. He was the first one to ever like work with me.
Daryl passed away?
Yeah, a long time ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you have that, and then my older cousin, his big sister, who we used to call Fluffy, her she had a rack system. Remember back in the 80s, they still had the rack systems where it was like a turntable, a radio, and cassette players or whatever. So she had one that had two turntables, and her little brother somehow rigged up a way to have two turntables play. So then they played. He played what was it? Thriller, but he played Beet It, which had the drum intro. So then it's boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat. But he had 2 copies. So he would play them back to back like boom, boom, cat, cat, boom, boom, cat, cat, boom, boom, cat, cat. So imagine a 5-6-year-old kid doing that, having his dad play jazz organs, and my dad was very much into the CTI catalog. If anybody wants to go Google that, you can. So my dad is into the CTI fusion jazz stuff that's coming on. My cousin is playing me rap records, but then he's also playing me, hey, you can make 2 records play at the same time. And I'm just sitting, and then he's also hipping me to Mr. Magic and Marley Marl, and then a little bit later, Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out.
Wow.
So all that's happening at the same time. Like one of my fondest childhood memories is I got chicken pox, which nobody would normally say is their fondest childhood memory. But when I had to stay at his mom's house for a week, or for I don't know, about 4 days, is when he played Me By All Means Necessary by KRS-One. And at the same time, he had a dub tape. It was that, and I forget what was on the other side. But that, and even if the timelines don't necessarily coincide in terms of release, I heard that Salt and Pepper's answer to the show, the Showstopper, and Run DMC Raising Hell, all in this in the same 2-day span of being sick. So for me, that music got me through being sick, where I just sat in their house and played those tapes over and over and over. So between that, my dad being the musician that he was, my mom being a singer, him being an avid collector of hip hop records at that time, because they were a novelty, and then my aunt being like, hey, here's the Earth, Wind, and Fire record. Here's the Isaac Hayes record. All that stuff that you're playing, hey, check this out. So that's kind of where it landed for me. I had nothing else to do with my time.
And so did that lead you to being a DJ? You started...
Definitely led to me being a DJ. Him exposing me to Chuck, Red, Marley, Clark, Pete in the early days of the In Control show. So for me, it was initially DJ, and then from there, it led to me saying, okay, if we're playing this music, how do we make this music? And I was a very inquisitive kid, so then I wanted to start taking apart my dad's keyboards, taking apart, his work beeper, which I got in a lot of trouble for. Taking apart just anything that I could get my hands on to figure out how it did what it did. And that led me to trying to figure out how to take apart records to figure out how they were made. So you combine that with summer of, I think, 87 or 88, when I'm trying to figure out what Jazzy Jeff did on He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have those records downstairs. How do I do what he did?
Right.
And then fast forward to 88 and 89, and my mom's James Brown records are being flipped by guys like you and Sadat and Puba. And I'm trying to figure all that out. That's what put me on the path.
So, I mean, drum machines and samplers and all that type of shit were not cheap. They're still not that cheap. Like, you know what I mean? They're getting cheaper. How were you privileged enough to get your first sampler or
funny enough, I never knew how
to it.
But funny enough, I never knew how until this past Christmas. My mom told me the story of how she bought me my first drum machine. When the whole fall and and winter leading up to that point, all she was hearing from her 12-year-old boy was, "This is all I want. This is all I want." And she opened up a bunch of credit cards and got that done. I don't know that. I didn't know that until I was 43 years old.
You're 12 years old at this time.
Yes.
Now, are you a good student?
Yeah, I was good. I was my grades were in the upper echelon.
Okay.
Same thing with my Aunt Jenny. Shout out to Aunt Jenny if she's watching. But she bought me my first ASR 10 because when Enter the Wu-Tang came out, because I'm tracing down every piece of information I can get. I find out that I think from rap pages that RZA made Into the Wu-Tang using an ASR 10. So now I need that. And she saved up her money and bought me that.
Wow.
Bought me an ASR 10. And that day I remember I was there for, like, when my mom got me the stuff that I was asking for Christmas when I was 12. Obviously I wasn't there for it. By the time you're like 15, 16, things are a little bit different. Santa doesn't exist, and you're just like, hey, I need this is what I need. So Aunt Jenny went to or took me to Sam Ash, and she was like, hey, this Roland 760 is only $600. This ASR 10 is $2,500. Can we get the Roland instead? And I'm like, nope, because that's not what RZA uses. So for me, it was always trying to just have the same tools. And obviously, when you get home as a kid, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to make RZA beats now. And then you don't.
Right. And then you find out that the ASR 10 is probably one of the hardest drum machines to get the fucking drums right on. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I know people that used to fucking want to cry with that machine. I was always the MPC guy. But I fucked with some dudes that used the ASR 10.
Right.
And whoa.
No, so the ASR, once you mastered it, it was great. But the learning curve to understand that work environment was beyond hard. But once you got there, you could do some amazing things.
Right. Yeah. Whoa. So you started with the ASR. Wow. What'd you graduate to? What's your preference now?
I do everything on a laptop now. If you want to do a timeline, it was the ASR, and then I felt like one era that we touched on in the beginning but didn't really get into. Interning at the cutting room, thanks to NASA, was an experience that I don't think you could ever replicate. Like, I watched so many classic records get made. I watched Havoc make Hell on Earth. Not the song, the album.
Right.
I watched him make the next 3 Mobb Deep albums after that. I got to be there when Chucky Thompson reunited with Mary J. Blige after so many years and worked on her album. I got to watch all that happen. And the centerpiece of everything was the MPC. So,
which MPC?
Back then they were using the 3000. I couldn't afford a 3000, and at the time, the 60 was considered trash because the 360. Because the 3000 was out.
Right.
So I was able to get Vance Wright.
My God, come on, Vance Wright from Nerd Show. Shout out to Vance Wright.
I had Vance Wright MPC.
You had his MPC 60?
That's what I learned on. When I got to this stage of professional beat making, I learned on Vance Wright's MP.
Vance is a hell of a fucking beat maker, man. He's fucking dope. Like, he was. Yeah, I started with the 60, then the 62.
It actually.
Then I went to the 3,000.
Let me take that back. It was a 62.
It was a 62, right?
I had the Vance Wright 62.
Wow. And how did you feel at that time, knowing that, wow, this is Vance Wright? had at the time. You probably was like, "Yo, this shit crazy." Like,
no, you know what? No, it wasn't. It
no,
was a way for me to get through what I was trying to do because I was so focused. And it wasn't until I let it go and sold it that I was like, "Damn,
I missed it."
Like that was some history I just let go of.
Right.
Like,
and I wasn't really clear on history at that point. And what ended up happening for me was I still had my day job at the studio, at the cutting room downtown. And Arista had just bought the Profile Records catalog. Hopefully, obviously I don't have to spell out that catalog for you guys. But for anybody who's watching and doesn't understand, Profile Records was a very important label, you know, throughout the 80s for us.
Run DMC, you know, is
Profile.
DMC, The Dane, and so many others. So at the studio, we were doing a lot of work for Profile because they were still trying to figure their thing out. And then we were also doing work for Arista. So when Arista bought Profile, they're like, "Oh, we're about their catalog. We need all these tapes verified. How about you guys just verify all the tapes and make sure that everything that they say that they're giving us is here?" So then somebody from Arista calls like, "Hey, so does anybody there actually know the Profile catalog?" And I'm like, I know that entire catalog by heart. You know, from Here We Go to Nightmares and anything else beyond that. So then I got the opportunity to verify. I should say the opportunity. It was a job, and I got paid for it. But I had to verify that all the tapes that Profile said they were giving Arista were actually there, and that they were in sellable condition. So I had to go through all that. And there were a couple of tapes that weren't. One of the, we worked that out. But one of the really cool things about that was that's what led to me meeting Run DMC, and at the end of the day, meeting Jam Master Jay, who was also one of my childhood influences. But the reason I bring this whole situation up is because a lot of those Profile tapes. A lot of them actually weren't in good condition. They were well kept. A few of them weren't. But Run DMC realized they didn't have an instrumental to what was the Christmas film? Christmas in Hollis.
Ah.
They didn't have an instrumental. They needed somebody to recreate that instrumental.
Wow.
And it happened in the middle of the session. So they're like, "You know this song?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I performed this shit in 5th grade." So then I was tasked with recreating that instrumental for them to perform at the White House. And that's when I realized, the importance of holding on to your history, because there's so much of our history that isn't. So ever since then, I've always made it a point to anything that I do, anything that comes across my desk, anything that I can document, I do. You know, and a lot of times it's just people can look at me as a hoarder. It doesn't matter. But if I have something that might be it's not even about monetary value. It's about cultural value.
Right.
That's what I'm going to hold on to it and make sure that I have it for somebody else to preserve, because so much of our culture is not passed on. We've contributed, I think, the most culture, us as people of color. We have contributed the most culture that has not been preserved. We have contributed the most musical culture that has not really been that is only passed down through, like, quote unquote legend. Like such and such and such and such. Like, how do we know about the Busy being Kumo Diba?
Right. From the legend of it. Right. Yeah, from the tape. But where is that tape right now? I mean, I guess somebody.
Right, like, where's the actual tape? But like, thank God that somebody had the the wherewithal to record it and distribute it.
Facts. So let me ask you, what do you think, now that you started doing this, what do you think's like the illest historical hip hop memorabilia type item that you might possess? Whether it be like a Jay-Z. Oh, he doesn't write his lyrics down, but shit. But if you had a paper where he did write
funny
it.
enough, I have a Sadat X rhyme book.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
For me, like a minute ago and shit.
Oh,
Yeah. I have a Sadat X rhyme book.
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear. I put that on my mom, who just left my crib, asking me, send me the link to where you're streaming so I can watch it. Yes, I put that on my mom. I have a Sadat X rhyme book.
How you get I'm gonna tell you how you got it. Because that nigga be fucking losing mad. First of all, your lighting was great now, Just.
No, I'm about to show you.
I'm about to say, damn, you just lit up.
You might want to stay where you're at because your lighting looks great. So, the type of motherfucker that be losing a lot of shit. He loses keys. He loses, you know. So I'm sure he probably lost the rhyme book up in Calliope or the cutting room or one of them shits, and niggas said, "Oh, this is Sadat X."
I'll give you a rhyme. Hold on. Because black brothers need sons and not children that's been killed by guns.
Ooh, that was in there.
Damn.
This is the mic that recorded the blueprint, along with anything else that was ever Rockefeller recorded.
Wow.
There's two others, but I'm not going to pull them out. They're in the closet, and that would be work. But I always keep that one out just as a reminder.
Nice.
I have some things, but I think the coolest thing. I actually know it. I don't want to violate. I'm not going to get into that. But I have a rap hero. A hero of ours is about to get commemorated in a very big way. In the highest institutions of memorialization, and I'm blessed and honored to have been a part of that. I'm going to get at that.
Okay.
You guys will see in the next year or so, but
okay, so we can't
that's not mine.
That's gave us the baby scoop. Can't give us the scoop.
What I think happens is because people know that I have random things, I get the random calls.
Right.
So it's like, hey, do you know anybody who has this? And I'm like, yeah, I know the guy that made it. Oh, do you have this? Yeah, I actually have a copy of it sitting in my theater, or I have it stored at a family member's house. And I'm able to just put it where it needs to be. You know, I've said this a lot over the last while, especially over 2020 and 2021. We have to die with our laptops empty. Die with your hard drive empty. Die with your brain empty. That's something that I feel like more of us need to do. Pardon me, I'm just plugging my phone back in.
Just Blaze got your favorite rappers' reference tracks.
I do.
It was a lie. It was all a lie.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
No, I'm just fucking with
tracks. One of the things that led to me starting to write for people, or give people references for, you know, certain moves. Like, I got to thank Pharrell for that. Because
ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Hell no.
Word.
And Digga, you and I have argued about this on Twitter. But like,
no, wait. Oh, wait. I remember.
We had a different argument. Our
argument was
somebody.
Is it okay to take help? Is it okay to take help with your lyrics? I was like, no. What was it? Or can you be considered a great? I'm like, absolutely no circumstance.
Let me argue with my sister real quick.
Okay. Come on. Let's go.
We can't wait to see this one.
Please take my job, brother. Go ahead.
Go for it.
We're in the booth, or if we're in the studio, right? And you spit a line to me, and I say no. Those last 4 bars should be this. And you say no, and then I say yes, they should be. And then you understand where I'm coming from. And then you spit those bars. You're not a fraudulent MC. It's much different, in my opinion.
Here's what I would do.
Because a lot of us from our generation, even though you're a few years older than me, I'm still from the generation where we took what our artists said as Bible, as gospel, and it came from them, right? But that, to me, at the same time, if somebody helped you understand your identity or helped you get to a point of explaining your identity and who you are or of who you were, and it was the last 4 bars of your verse, does that mean that you didn't write your rhymes and you're inauthentic? No.
Here's my here's my
I agree with you, sir.
Here's my stand.
Nigga, I gave you party and bullshit before it was done.
You can tell me no. I came to you. I came to you.
Of the concept?
I came to you and said, I want you to do. No, how did it go? I came to you and said,
I want you to do a better version of what you did for Joe.
I said, I want you to do the exact same thing.
No, a better version.
A better version, right, of what you did for Joe.
Yes. I want a better version of that.
Now she's stuck.
And here's the thing. I knew that you were actually in the clubs, whereas if I'm like, Joe, I don't know if Joe was really in the clubs like that. You would understand these records. Like, in other words, here's what I mean by that.
But wait, hang on, wait. Before you go there, let me rebut now. If me being the MC I am, if an MC says to me, like, taking direction is one thing, taking bars to me personally is a whole separate animal.
4 bars of a song? Come on, bro.
4 bars is 4 bars. Now let me
greatest take bars, like seriously, like
now let me tell I mean,
but that means that we have no grade.
That's them. That's what separates them from me. Hey, it is what it is.
And I would never argue that because you are my favorite female rapper ever.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
And that's part of the reason why I love you, because for better or worse, like once you get past the particulars or whatever, that's a goal that you stick to. And
that is a goal. Like, understand, like, DIGGA'S mantra is I write my own rhymes. Like, that is something.
Right. But you had to do, and you know what? I feel like if you weren't a woman, that might not apply as much. And because you were, and I don't mean, that's not a good thing by any means. But I feel like it's, what am I trying to say the right way? I don't want to trip myself up here because I could end up in a really bad place. You as a woman who writes their own bars puts you in such a good place. That's what I was trying to say.
I got you.
So if anybody's trying to say, oh, I wrote this, or I wrote that, that's a discredit to you because of the way the culture is perceived and because of the way the art form is perceived. And then that makes your fight that much harder.
Right. And you as a woman, you probably feel like I got to work twice as hard because I am a woman to prove myself. So I can't dare take 4 bars from a motherfucker. Whereas a dude might not feel that same pressure in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what?
Yeah, like it was purposeful. It was purposeful for me to not take bars. But I'll give you an example of some help I got with Imperial.
Wait, is this the first time you're admitting this?
You might be getting around DIGGA'S scoop. You might be getting around DIGGA'S scoop. Well, now for Imperial,
one of my favorite albums of all time.
It was Busta's idea to do the Imperial, but I had to write the word. Like when it came time for that, because he's hook guy, and when he was when I was writing to that beat, he came in the room and was like, remember the Pass the Dutchie joint?
Melody.
I was like,
and you listened to him.
I was like, word, that would work. And then I came up with the words.
But that in a way is a variation of what he's talking about right now.
Like that. That's
is something. And even though he didn't give you the words, he still gave you something that you ended up
no,
using.
but that's
But
fine.
that doesn't take away from her writing her own shit.
I don't have a problem with that. For one,
but it's a problem if he gave you the words.
I don't have a problem. For one, I don't have a problem if it lends itself to a hook. And number two, it's when I just feel like when you're writing your rhymes, like your rhymes is supposed to be your story. You know what I'm saying? Like like if when we're talking the business of rap, like, yeah, we need this particular type of record to deal with this particular politic of the situation.
I don't want to get caught too long in this topic right here, but I hear what you're saying. But
here's what's interesting to me, Jamar. Pardon me. Can I just say one thing? What's interesting is that there's this distinction of, all right, well, he helped me write the hook, but not the rhymes. Which to me is interesting because the hook ultimately helps sell the record.
Yeah, right. Sometimes
that's a business thing.
So it's like, right, there's this distinction with some of us from a certain era, myself included, where writing the hook is okay, or somebody else writing the hook, or performing the hook, or performing and writing the hook is okay as long as the person writes their own rhymes. Like, so then what happens if, and I'm going to leave this as an open-ended question. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to debate it offline. What happens if the person wrote the entire hook, or the artist wrote the entire hook and didn't write any of their rhymes? Then what?
People could get ghostwriters all they want. I can't put you in like greatest MC conversations if people are helping you write your rhymes. That's my qualm.
If you got help once,
that can help with ghostwriters.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this. I feel like
everybody think I'm bleaching my skin. I'm sorry. Time out. It's the lights, guys. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry.
I feel like if you wrote more than 4 bars of your verse, if somebody gave you more than 4 bars, then that to me is like, all right, they helped you write your shit, and that's illegal. But I give a 4-bar grace period of, like you said, you know what I mean? I'll give a 4-bar grace period within the rhyme. Just like if somebody there, like especially when you're in a group and you might be at the end and you might be stuck, and they say, "Yo, why don't you just say this?" And you're like, you know what? That is good. There's
nothing wrong with that.
I think there is nothing wrong with that.
Beyond, I think here's my opinion overall. It's
too much.
Here's my argument overall.
Excluding the hook, though. I'm not talking about the hook.
Right, but why does the hook matter?
4 bars becomes 4 bars, 4.5 bars, and one line from the hook. And one line from the hook becomes the whole hook.
People write good rhymes and suck at writing hooks.
Right, but what if some people write great hooks but suck at writing rhymes?
I'd rather write good rhymes.
I hear you, but
I'd rather write good rhymes.
I'm not arguing for
or make records, but we're saying that those people right there can't be considered goats as far as greatest MCs. They can't be talked about in certain.
All right, so
and that's on who? Never Had Lil Lamb.
I agree with that. What I will say is that I don't think anybody who's been in the GOAT MC conversation is in that place.
Right.
Buster I just saw that video on Buster he said he was on Drink Champs. He said, if you don't put it down on the pen yourself, you can't be in the greatest whatever. Nope. If you have ghostwriters, you can't be considered in any of that shit.
No, God, all respect to you. All respect to Buster. That is literally my big brother. And I told him this just the night before last. If you have a catalog of 8 albums. I'm using a random number. And somebody helped you with a bar here and a bar there, or more than 4 bars on a song here, a song there on your album, because they heard something you did and figured out how you could do it better.
I think you're still okay.
Or speaking from experience, you were stuck and couldn't figure out how to finish up those last 4 bars, and they said, "Yo, this is how you end it." To me, that does not discredit you from the conversation.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
Now, if your whole pardon my language, Mom, if your whole shit was a sham and you were milli vanilling it the whole time, that's a different story.
Right. I think I can relate this to stand-up comics. They go, I know Chris Rock has some writers, but Chris writes most of his shit. But he'll have I have other comedians give me a dope ass punchline like, yo, you know what you can do with that joke? Oh, thanks. You use it, but it still makes you the shit because you wrote most of the shit. And it's okay if someone comes outside and goes, you should do that because you need that outside sometimes.
And thank you for bringing up that analogy, because there are plenty of times where it's like, all right, somebody wrote your show, like your stand-up show.
Yeah.
You're like it bugged me out. Like I wanted to be I'm not a funny guy at all, right? But I wanted to be a funny guy so bad when I was and George Carlin was my hero.
Yeah.
I think if you go to my clubhouse, I think if you go to my clubhouse avatar right now, George might still be my avatar.
Dope.
And he was my hero. My life changed when I saw his stand-up special. I think when did we get cable? 89 or 90?
You must have saw Jamming in New York.
It was the HBO One Night Stand.
Oh, oof, man.
When he ended it, when he brought out his dog Tuppy. Like that, me and you can have a whole other conversation about this, right? But I wanted to be George Carlin more than anything else. Yes. And when the credits rolled and I saw written by,
you were like, what?
Right. But you know what? You fast forward 20, 30 years later, me as a producer, as a songwriter, I've seen written by, or I've been a part of written by. But I can tell you this right now. If those artists had written, or if those artists had spit some of the stuff that I had wrote, if I had spit some of the stuff that they had that I had contributed, it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have had the same impact. Because I'm not a good artist. So at what point do we differentiate? Like, all right, fine, this person didn't write everything, but they delivered it in a right way that contributed and impacted the listener and our culture, and maybe motivated our culture to produce more great writers.
So we should have great performers.
That would make them. I was just about to say that
we
would
have
make
a separate category.
Good performers.
For a good,
right, but
Milli Vanilli rappers.
But my question is, where do you draw the line? Are we still using the 4-bar analogy? Or the 4-bar example? Again, if somebody came out and was like, oh, wait, those last 10 albums? No, he didn't write any of that. And it sounded like he was writing from a personal perspective. That's one thing. Like, say, for example, like Jay, for example, and I hate to use Jay in anything because of my close relationship to him, right? But if he came out for Reasonable Doubt to Blueprint 3 or to Magna Carta or whatever, and it was like, yeah, that whole journey he took you on, none of that was real. Obviously, then you're like, yeah, this is terrible. This should not happen. But there are certain artists where it's like, all right, he wasn't really speaking from his perspective. He was just making good songs. We don't look at Gwen Stefani and be like, oh, you weren't really a holler back girl. You were actually a scholastic whatever.
Paul Mooney wrote for Richard
Pryor.
Paul Mooney wrote for Richard Pryor, true. Keenan
But why? Why do we not look at Case or Mary J. Blige?
Because MCing is MCing. Like once
why
we start,
is not R&B singing?
Because singers are singing. MCing is you're supposed to be writing your own rhymes. Like that was the.
It's implied that
it was never that.
That was the foundation of it from day one.
If you go back to the 70s, there's still stories of actually this person wrote this rhyme for this person.
Right. Well, Big Bang Hank took Grandmaster Caz's rhymes.
I mean, even before that,
I'm well aware. I'm well aware that there are several pioneers and legends and OGs that it'll probably go to the grave, or if it's not out there that didn't write. But I'm saying, that was always, at least the rules that I grew up learning and applying.
And that's why you're special and revered on a certain tier, because you are Rod Bigger.
Let's take this real quick to a producer's level. Do you believe that Dr. Dre is one of the greatest producers?
1,000%.
Right. Yet he's claimed he's produced things that he didn't produce.
I disagree with that. So
this is what I was just a story that was just told to us last night. Let me just tell you this just real quick. So we had Inspector Deck on last night, and he was asked why he was taking off this song, this Tupac song. So originally the song was done for Daz. Daz did the beat, right? Now somehow it goes to he brought it to Dre for it to be mixed or something like that. Tupac comes home, Dre plays the joint for him, and this is out of Daz and them's mouth, not mine. Dre tells Pac that he did the beat, and he ends up taking people off the song, including Inspector Deck, Rage, a whole bunch of people. Only left Redman and Method Man on the joint. And so later, when Pac found out that Dre didn't actually make the beat, that actually caused friction between them two. And this is a story that I just heard them tell. So, and that's the experience I'm talking about. So what I'm saying is, if that's true, right? We already know that Dre has made some of the illest shit in hip hop that can ever be made. I don't give a fuck if he did say that he did some shit and didn't do it. That doesn't take away from his greatness. That's all I'm trying to
say. Here's my thought on that. And I guess this applies to my idea on MCs.
Producers have production teams, though. It's like
but that's not always. That's not even what I'm getting. I'm sorry, Digga. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going into what he said.
My thought on that is that ultimately, if you actually, I can say this very easily. Why am I even thinking about this? First of all, just because you made the beat doesn't mean you. Just because you made the beat doesn't mean you produced the record. Okay, like Quincy Jones didn't play Quincy Jones didn't play SHIT on Human Nature, but he heard the record and said we should cut this. You can go and get. I mean, you used to have to dig for them. Now you can get all the expanded editions of Thriller and Off the Wall, where you hear the demos that Michael was making in his house with Janet and LaToya and Jermaine, with like Janet on the what do you call those? The glasses playing like the dum, 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 dum. And he's singing day and night. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Jermaine and somebody else playing the synth bass. And then but those songs could have came out and been considered a mess or laughed at. Or you send them to Quincy and Quincy says, okay, this is the vision. This is who we need to get to play drums. This is who we need to get to do X, Y, and Z. I was not there for anything Dre related, so I cannot say who did what. What I can say is that when you listen to the Dr. Dre lineage, you hear the progression and the consistency of the sound. So I don't think it's a secret that he wrote every rhyme or made every beat. Do I think it's a fact that he executed the vision on every project he was tasked to? Yes. And that's the job of a producer. It's not to make a beat, it's to execute a vision. And it took me a long time to learn that. Like, me and Puff had issues for a while because we were working on a project together, and he was like, yo, so by the way, my name's going to be the first on every song. And I was like, what? But that was in my days. Right. But I'm like, you didn't touch a drum machine. You didn't. And then and it took me a minute to understand, like, this didn't come from him. It came from my own thought and just knowing my own history of my music and my people's music. And I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't really or this producer didn't play the strings and the drums and this. He knew what songwriter to put with what artist, to put with what engineer, to put with what orchestra, to make this sound like this, and then who to have master it. And ultimately, that is the job of the producer. Now, maybe the conversation we're having is that beat makers need a production credit as a beat maker within our culture or within electronic music in general. That might be the case. But trust, I mean, y'all already know, not every person who makes the beat produces the record. Digga, you've produced your own records.
Right.
Without making the beat.
But I mean, again, I just feel like in the case of MCing, like all of these conversations and debates and things of that nature, fast forward to, oh, it's okay if they don't write, as long as it's a hit. Like all of that leads up to that mentality.
But how many records have you gotten a beat from somebody on and just created the whole song yourself?
Oh, several, all of them. I've never had a production team. I get
no, not a production team. How many times somebody just sent you a beat?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's all I've had my entire life was a motherfucking email. You're the only producer.
Like I know when we did Party and Bullshit, I went back and added the percolator, right?
Yep.
I went back and added to the bricks, y'all, to the bricks, and added the acid crash at the end, and added the setup in the beginning. Like in that aspect, I know that I did my job, and I'm not saying that I didn't even know that you've never had a production team or anything like that. All I'm saying is, how many times have you gone in and stood around and put a song together? And you put the whole thing together. You are producing those songs.
No, I'm saying that's my whole life. Like you probably Pete Rock and one other are the only producers that have physically created the beat in my presence. Everything else is some shit MP3 that I've gotten emailed.
Right. But you wouldn't discredit those guys.
Right. But ultimately, I
still abide by you and your thoughts, and I champion.
I don't think the same rules should apply to MCing that an R&B singer gets, or I'm not gonna look at Rihanna any less because somebody else wrote the record. I'm gonna look at another MC less if somebody wrote the record.
Well,
it's just that's just the nature of MCing.
And that makes sense. We come from a culture. We come from a different culture. I don't think. Here's the thing. I think what we have to agree to disagree on. Or actually, not even agree to disagree, but we all have to agree on is that us who came from this culture that started out in the park and was solely our own, we developed our own rules and our own standards that we might not hold other art forms applicable to.
Our own protocols.
Yes.
Word. Well, enough about all of this stuff. I want to know. Tell me, Just. How does Just Blaze, aspiring producer, getting your feet wet in Patterson, get to producing for Jay-Z?
Wait, did Jamar just text you and ask you to ask me this?
Oh, no, not at all.
No, he was like, stop this conversation.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Brain waves at her.
Not at all, but I say that because we can debate forever about we will after this. You and I will be on Twitter at some point, like, and another thing, but we here to celebrate.
Actually, I texted you a little while ago. I don't think you got it though. Or if you did, I didn't get a response. How did I get from that point? I'll give you all the short version. As you can see, I talk too much. The short version worked with Mace, Big Pun, Killer Priest, $500,000, rest in peace. And that led me eventually, and a few other artists. I'm sorry for whoever I forgot, but that led me to a meeting with Divino. Dino was the guy who, to my understanding, discovered Cash Money. And this was when Rakim was working on the 18th Letter Project. This is when cannabis first came to the scene. And I ended up having a meeting with him because G. Roberson, who some of you guys probably know, G was managing an art. He was working at Rockefeller and also managing an artist named Bathgate at the time. And Bathgate was just, he didn't have a demo. He could rhyme, but he didn't have a demo. So what G was doing was just taking him to different labels and having Bathgate rhyme. And I had just had a meeting with Dino because of all these other placements that I had, and him and a woman who, part of my forgetfulness, I cannot remember her name, and I haven't been able to for years, but she was like the head of Universal Publishing or something. Her and Dino took an interest in me early on. And I think I met with her first. She set me up with Dino. I played a bunch of beats for Dino. Dino was like, oh my God, I'm going to make you the next big thing. You're going to be a star. I have cannabis. I have Rakim, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, y'all remember the Gas Face video? Rest in peace, Doom?
Yeah.
When Gilbert Godfrey was like, I'm going to make you big, 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 big. And you're going to, each one of you going to have a set
He
of
was
hats.
that guy.
Right. Here's your Newports. Right? That's what I got from Dino. I never heard from him again.
Wow.
But he promised me the world in that meeting. Long story short, G.
And you believed him in that moment.
What's that?
And you believed him.
Oh no, of course, like 1,000%. I'm like, I'm calling my mom, like, yo, mom, I think
right.
I don't gotta go back. I don't gotta go back to school. Hold up. So, long story short, I meet with him. Nothing happens. I'm back at my day job. I get a call at my day job, and I used to answer. I used to do everything from record your session, build the website for the studio. Like, I did anything and everything. So this particular day, I was answering phones. So pardon. And oh shoot, you guys still see me?
Yep.
So I answered the phone that day, and see, I have so many stories. Oh shoot. Y'all remember Bruce Hornsby? Anybody remember Bruce Hornsby?
Name sounds familiar. What did he do?
That's just the way it is.
Oh, things will never change.
I befriended Bruce Hornsby randomly one day at a session. Bruce used to prank call me because he knew I was an aspiring musician. This is the last time I'm ever going to tell the story. Bruce used to call me like, hey, this is and he knew Crush Groove. So he used to be like, hey, this is Johnny J from Galaxy Records. And I'm like, what do you want, Bruce? But sometimes I would just hang up on him. One day, I get this phone call, and it's from G from Rockefeller. And G's like, hey, this is G from Rockefeller, Just Blaze's label. I'm sorry, Jay-Z's label. And I'm looking for a guy named Justin. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, Bruce.
Leave me alone, Bruce.
And that happens 2 times in a row while I'm at my job.
Whoa.
So then the third time, he calls back like, hey, I keep getting disconnected. I'm trying to reach Justin. He made a beat that sounds like this. I had a meeting with Dino at Universal, and I'm just trying to get in touch with him. And I'm like,
like, is this real?
Right. It was a real phone call.
Like now this sounds kind of real.
Right. So I put the phone down and pretend that it wasn't me.
Hey, this man.
I'm like, hey, this.
Let me go get him. I'll be right back.
Hey, I don't have a deep voice, but I'm trying to do my best. Y'all remember the end of Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Paging Mr. Herman. So I'm trying to do that. This is Justin. How can I help you? So we talk. I realize it's a real thing. And that's how I ended up getting in with the Fold, because G had heard my beats, because Dino thought that Bathgate was coming with a demo, and Bathgate had no demo. So then Dino was like, "Well, I got some beats from this kid I just met with. Here, rap over this." So Bathgate ended up rhyming over my beats, which piqued G's curiosity. G went back and mentioned it to hip hop, who was one of the founders of hip hop since 1978, which was the backbone of our whole thing, and that's how that all happened. Jay didn't pay me any attention for the first year and a half. He had, I would have to get like what do you call that? I would have to get secondhand feedback. So it was like, oh, tell him the drums aren't this, tell him the sample isn't that, tell him the bass isn't rocking, whatever. And then eventually I did this one record for, funny enough, Bathgate and the Mill. Jay heard it and was like, that's the one. Who did this? Oh, the kid Justin we've been telling you about. Oh, all right, cool, send him the bass line. So I come to bass line. And Jay, funny enough, had taken another beat of mine on a cassette, not realizing that it was mine. Did vocals with the night before. So we're meeting at baseline. What's he doing? Oh, he was doing the vocals for Parking Lot Pimpin', and he's like, "Yo, give me like 10 minutes. I gotta go put these vocals down." He goes in the booth. I set up my MPC. I start tapping out things. He comes out. I play him 2 more beats. Mind you, he had already rapped to Streets Is Talking, or what became Streets Is Talking, off the cassette that I had that he got his hands on. So he walks out. I play him these 2 other beats, and he's like, "Oh, these is crazy. When did you do these?" I said, "Right now." "What do you mean right now?" I said, "I did them right now." He's like, "Yeah, but I was only in the booth for 10 minutes. Like, yeah, I made them in 10 minutes in my headphones.
Wow.
He said, "Yeah?" I said, "Yes, the engineer can tell you, like, I made these beats right now."
Yeah, I'm ill like that, sir. I'm ill.
Right. He's like, "Stick around, I'm gonna make you a star."
Whoa.
And what? He's like, "Yeah, that room next door, that's your room. If you start making beats in there, we're gonna get you situated, and let's do this." And I'm like, no, it wasn't even a conversation. It was just like, I feel like it was just that timing where he wanted somebody that could be his right-hand guy for that time period. And I happened to be that person. And 2.5 years later, I owned that entire studio.
Wow.
No, that's right.
The one thing that I will
say, Jersey.
The one thing that I will say about him, whether it was from a joking perspective or wherever it came from, he did used to check on me in the sense of like, "Yo, Josh, you a millionaire yet? You a millionaire yet?" And I'm like, I just got to check 50 grand. I'm trying to figure it out. But then a couple months later, he'd see certain shoes on my feet or see me wearing a certain thing, and he'd be like, "You a millionaire yet?" I'm like, "What you mean?" He's like, "Yo, those sneakers you got on your feet, you want to wear those around your neck." Like, just to show them to everybody, I know how proud you are that you have those shoes. Are you a millionaire yet? And that definitely put a batter in my back, not unlike anybody else that I've ever been associated with. The fact that he wanted to make sure that I was okay. And I feel like that's part of the reason why, like, for better or worse, I've fared better than some of my peers. Like, he genuinely cared if I was doing okay. I can't speak for anybody else. He genuinely cared and asked about, like, "Yo, are you good? You got your money yet? What's going on?" Like, because I think his thing with me was always, I'm never going to pay you a lot of money. I don't have to. I can get anybody and have them do what I'm going to do. But I will give you the opportunity of a lifetime. I like what you do. Obviously, I am who I am. you know, what's up? And that was pretty much what he said to me the first day we decided to form a partnership.
I mean, he said it. Just made millions. He made millions.
Right.
Made millions.
So, and that was wild to me. Like, you know, like, I mean, he used to shout me out on records, but years later, for him to do that, it was like Just made millions, Jay made millions, Beans would have made millions, or B made millions, but he's caught up in his feelings, whatever it was. The fact that he even put me in that line on a record that I didn't do, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I didn't produce that record. That was one of the records I had nothing to do with.
Right.
Like there was a lot of records at Rockefeller where like me and Guru, you know, would be the ones to be like, and it wasn't my beat. And, you know, he would be engineering, and we would just be in the room like, say this way, not just for him but for everybody. You know, like we would be coaching things around or moving things around or shifting things around. Sometimes the artists didn't even know the specifics of what we would do to certain songs. They just knew that if they left the records with Justin Goo, they'd be all right. And I wasn't sure until I heard that line. I wasn't sure how much that was appreciated or acknowledged internally.
Wow.
That shit was. I mean, it was one thing about Jay. You know, he's very poignant with his. You know, I love it. I loved it. I mean, I got it.
Yeah, but I always talk about my two favorite times in rap, or the two times that I felt like I was a part of something. And funny enough, the two times are Rockefeller.
Man, you've arguably created his best records to date. Like, I wish I will fight him if PSA could be like if I had a chance to PSA be my record.
But funny enough,
like PSA, I don't want to cut you off, but PSA has to be arguably the most recognizable, like energy, like when Jay-Z drops PSA in a fucking concert, everybody's going bananas. Like I know when you found that sample and you put it together, you were just giggling, like yo, like yo.
That was my show intro for like 10 years, bro.
I'm ready to fuck these niggas up. Like, please talk to us about PSA.
And that's all praises due to. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that my phone is charging. Yes, it is. That's all praises due to my brother Big Jack. I touched on this a little bit earlier. He brought me that sample after the Black Album was done. Like, it had already been sent to mastering. It was already being manufactured. There's copies of the Black Album that did not exist with PSA on it.
Oh, wow.
I heard that sample. I made the beat. And the next day I went back to baseline like, yo, you have to listen to this right. And me and Lenny S is probably like the second component to making this happen. Len was the one that was like in the room like, you have to record this right now. Because the thing that we always used to chase was You Don't Know, right? And You Don't Know was like this surprise street anthem that we didn't expect to happen. And then it did. So a lot of our records used to be like, yo, is this better than You Don't Know? Is this is it the same vein that You Don't Know? Which is the best and worst thing you could do. Because it's almost like you're chasing ghosts, right?
Right.
But that record...
I did a freestyle to You Don't Know. It lives on the net somewhere.
So we do this record, or we start this record. And Jay's like, yo, I'm not sure. And me and Len are sitting at him looking at him. What do you mean you're not sure? Like, this is it. And that's what I mean by the collective. Like, it was me doing what I did. It was Len doing what he did. It was Boo doing what he did. It was Hip and G doing what they did. You know, that led to a lot of our collective moments. So eventually, what happened? So he had a song. If you remember, Gucci. Obviously, we all remember Gucci Time.
Right.
Looking at my Gucci, it's about that time. Right. So he had a song, Looking at My S-Dots, it's about that time. That's what was on the album originally. He remade that, which I think now lives on a remix. Like, I'm not sure if you Google it, it'll come up. I think it ended up eventually putting out on a remix project. But we had to pull his Gucci Time remake off to put that on. And like I said, the album was already being manufactured. It's already at the plants.
Right. Artwork and all of that. Like, and now everything's
done.
Still the days, not to cut you off, but this is still the days when you had to turn your shit in 3 months in advance and all this dumb shit because the artwork takes this time to print it up and blah, 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 blah. So you had to, they did all of this for you for one fucking song that was so strong that they decided, you know what? We're going to scrap all of that. We're going to fucking put this shit on there, take that off, redo these expenses. Yes. It's that ill.
Redo the printing, redo the artwork. Redo making the CDs.
That's crazy.
And it happened. And a month later, we're performing it at Madison Square Garden, and everybody knows the words.
Jesus.
And people, like, you know, people, you guys included, everybody's always asking about my proudest moment. It's like I can't pick out one single thing that I would put over everything else. You know, like, it's like asking a parent what's your favorite kid. But that moment of
that joint right there, nigga.
I'm standing on stage, right? You got to remember, like, at the time, we did that Fade to Black show at Madison Square Garden. It's me and the Roots. Now, the Roots don't need me. That was one of the few songs where it was like, yo, the Roots don't play. It's just, you know, like, there were certain songs where it was like, yo, just the band can accent, but, like, it's, you have to do this.
Right.
Records. So for me to have that moment, from a song that didn't exist a month before, that I kind of like pulled out of my behind, pause, you know, out of nowhere at the last minute. After it was just, it kind of let me realize, or put me on a path to realizing, you actually probably should do this for a living, even though I had already been doing it for a living for a few years.
Right.
That was one of those things that solidified it for me. But the other thing that I wanted to say is, you know, that was kind of my second crew relationship. My first crew relationship was Flip Mode.
Was FUBU, you said?
Flip Mode. Mode.
I'm sorry. Today is like weird Wi-Fi day or something.
Yeah,
I
see there's the verse is going on right now with Ashanti and Keisha. I see people.
That's finally happening today?
Yeah, it's happening. It's going on as we speak. They were saying Keisha Cole Wi-Fi was messing up. But speaking of verses, because I know you was doing battles already. Like I love the one with you and Alchemist. Are you, like, right now today, are you even considering, like, doing a versus?
I've been asked. I've been asked, we've had conversations. I'm a weirdo, so it's hard to find somebody that makes sense to do it with me. I would do Alchemist in a heartbeat. That sounds terrible. Jesus Christ. I would do a versus with Alchemist.
That would be dope.
I don't play all that shit, so I understand what you saw. I don't play all that.
No, but I'm sorry. I would do a versus with Alchemist in a heartbeat, not just because we come from the same era, but me and Al know how to put on a good show. Because we did versus starting back in like 2008 or 9. Shout out to Jonathan Moore from Red Bull Big Two. You know that if you go online and Google Just Blaze versus Alchemist, you'll see that he and I did an impromptu thing. A lot of people don't realize that show. a lot of people have seen that clip. They don't realize that it was impromptu. We didn't decide ahead of time that wasn't planned. It wasn't promoted. Me and Al just happened to be in the same place, scheduled to play some music, and said, let's do it together and go head to head. Pause. And that's
that was some ill organic shit.
Right. It was super organic, and we just had fun with it. That led to me and Al touring for 2.5 years together, almost 3. So that's why I said I would do it with Al, because I know that we would put on a good show.
See, now what I would like to see, right? Because wasn't originally was it you and Swiss Beats that was?
Yeah, we did do the first, I guess what you would call the first incarnation of what became known as Versus.
Right, but now here's the thing, not to cut you off, but before y'all did that, what I understood what was going to happen was y'all two were going to actually make beats on the spot type of shit. That's what I was told at first. And then it led to y'all playing y'all hits. I want to see that. I want to see to produce, like how you say you make beats in 10 minutes. Because I know a lot of people that can make beats pretty fast. I want to see motherfuckers do a verses like that where, listen, y'all got these are the samples you got. This is the samples he got. Go. Y'all got 15 minutes.
Let me just respond to that. Neither I nor Swiss knew what we were going to do. Like, we put it out on that clip that I had put out on Instagram. We did that kind of. It was the result of a miscommunication, where, if you remember, a little while before that, him and Swiss and Ye had did something at Summer Jam. Somehow, when that was happening, my name got thrown in the mix. I misunderstood the context of that it got thrown in, and so when he and I ran into each other, that was I had did a documentary with Netflix called Rapture. So I went, and even though the documentary was about me, I wanted to go and talk to a bunch of other producers who I have relationships with and that I respected, to give the viewer more of an understanding of what production was about. So behind the scenes, there was a lighthearted, friendly argument between me, Swiss, and Grady, who was Grady is like Swiss's right-hand dude. Shout out to Grady and Monique. So it ended up in us going, we're going to battle? All right, fine, we battle. We'll come back tomorrow. I showed up with my drum machines and everything, but we didn't know what we were actually going to do. It's kind of like one of those things when you're in the school, you're like, yo, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. Right. And you get there and you're like, all right, what are we fighting about again?
How are we fighting? Can we kick or can we?
Right. So that's what ended up happening. I thought we were just shooting it for the documentary. 2 hours later, Swiss is still going. I'm tired as hell. I started having an asthma attack. I'm like, yo, bro, what are we doing? All right, we got to keep going.
I see some contenders in the comments. I saw Just Blaze versus No ID. I saw Just Blaze versus Big. I saw.
There's no ID could that would make sense. I think I think Al, because of the history that we have and the mutual associations we have, and the history of like having already done this, will put on a great show. Who knows?
Who knows? Don't count you out.
but ultimately, like I said, they have reached out. There has been discussion. We just have to find the right thing that makes sense. Godfrey, welcome back.
It's like that for a lot of artists.
My goal, because I'm going. I want to switch gears totally. I'm old now, so I'm going bald in the back. My goal is to get a haircut like Godfrey's, and I've been telling my barber that for like the past 2 years.
Yo, what kind? We mean like this in the top?
Nah, because you used to have like this weird thing that went like this.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, my hair still grows that way. I need a Godfrey cut. So we're waiting for the baldness to finish up, so I can just get my little tip pause done. Right.
Now Godfrey went twisty.
Wait, I see. Wait, give 220.
I go.
It's still here for now, but like I said,
look at all that. And so, where's it growing bald at? Where?
In the back. I'm not showing the back.
Really quick. Jamar, what you're talking about, there is something going on IG right now that Ski Beats is doing, and it's called like the Smack Pack Challenge. But producers are taking one set of sounds,
right?
Yeah, I judged one of those for Ski.
Sounds provided by Ski Beats and flip it. Now, I just did a verse for the next one that's coming, so there's going to be a bunch of different producers working with a particular set of sounds over my verse. With my verse,
set of skills. You got to say it like Liam Neeson and take
a particular.
You have to be. You got to do it on the phone. I have a particular set of skills.
One of the things that I was trying to say before that, and I think the Wi-Fi might have acted up. Rockefeller. When I was trying to first figure out who my family and where I was going to be at. You know, and it ended up being Rockefeller, but one of the only other places I felt at home was with Flipmode. And I was trying to say that earlier. Busta was the second person to give me a song deal back when Def Jam was still figuring it out. You know, like, and I think part of it was Busta being like, oh wait, Def Jam got that dude? Hold on, all right, here. Because he had just gotten that re-up from Elektra for Anarchy.
Okay.
So I was there every day. Like there's literally, and I had to remind Busta of this 2 nights ago on Clubhouse. Like we have an album's worth of music that nobody's ever heard. And that's a whole other conversation. But some of my fondest, earliest, and I call them childhood memories because I was a child at that time, were coming in and like seeing the Bushi chain, the gigantic, before Ghostface had the
eagle.
The eagle. Ghost had his eagle on his chest. Like walking in and him seeing me having dreads at the time and be like, oh shit, you got dreads too? And I had a little knowledge of self, or not a little bit of knowledge of stuff that I could re-recite from my cousin and from rap records like Brand Nubian and Wu-Tang. And being able to recite that and have that conversation with him. And we would just be in soundtrack every day, cooking. And then eventually, you know, getting to meet Digga, getting to meet Spliff, getting to meet Sham and Rock and Ramp, who it was so random, like me and Rampage actually ended up becoming really good friends. Nobody would have ever thought that. Like I'd be leaving Jay-Z sessions and calling Rampage like, "Hey, you want to go to the movies?" So I just want to thank because I have an actual member on the line. Thank you for providing some of my earliest childhood rap memories.
That's what's up. Why you bullshit? I'm sorry, my brain's still in versus mode. I'm like, shit, you talking about weirdo who put on a show? You and Kanye.
Yeah, but you know what? Ye just went on to do so many more great things as an artist.
Production Kanye though, it would have to be. I don't know. Would it be limited?
I guess that could happen, but then it cuts off. It doesn't really line up. Like
yeah. I guess because he's more defined as an artist.
Because the thing is, ultimately, he went on to do things beyond anybody's expectations, and beyond what anybody thought he would do. That he holds a certain part in our hearts culturally. So there's no way I win at that point because he's still Yeah. You know, so even if he stops at say 2002. It's still it is what it is.
Yeah.
There are some of us as producers who can understand that, like, and some of us who can't. And it is what it is.
When did you run into Joe Budden? Because that one, the Do Your Thing was, oof. That shit was. Man, I don't even think he could beat that. Joe doesn't rap anymore, but he's a fantastic. I thought he was a great lyricist, man. Joe Budden.
And Joe is still great.
He's dope as fuck.
I have an album worth of Joe material that people have never heard. That is amazing.
What? Yeah.
Jersey.
And I'm hoping to.
I always say Jersey got the best MCs.
And I'm trying to, like, I just had a conversation with somebody the other night. I'll leave it at that, about trying to make that
Trying to get him out of retirement.
No, not Joe. He retired.
Joe said
we already have songs.
It's podcast, and you know Joe talks like this the whole time. I said, I'm sick and tired. I'm never going back to rap. The shit is hard. The shit is difficult. I don't feel like thinking about shit. I don't want to think about a rhyme. Fuck that. I'm going to do podcasting.
And it worked out for him.
Nah, I got to talk about real quick. Hold on.
I'm happy for you guys as well. Jamar and Digga, like, you know, we all got to figure out ways to pivot and diversify our bonds, as Wu-Tang Financial would say.
Okay.
and I feel like we've all found a way to do that. So I'm happy to see people that look like me be able to continue to get that bag one way or another. In regards to Joe.
Yeah, because that do your thing, man. That
it's called Pump It Up, Godfrey.
Pump It Up, sorry. Pump It Up, you should know your own beats, god damn it. But that Pump It Up shit.
I'm trying to tell you the story, Godfrey.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you the story.
Tell me the story.
Now, long story short, Skane. So Joe was somehow affiliated with Desert Storm at the time, which was Clue, Duro, and Skane. DJ Clue was obviously who he was. Duro was a superstar engineer. Skane was a manager who ended up getting a position with Def Jam. He brought Joe over to Def Jam. He, for about 4 or 5 months, was like, I got this kid named Joe. Y'all are from around the same way. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. Eventually, Joe comes out with a record called Focus, which does really well. Focus is also the origin of the Just Blaze drop. And I'll lead that into the Pump It Up story. So Focus comes out, does very well. I hit Skane and I'm like, yo, all right, yeah, your man got one. He hits me back like, I told you, let's get in the studio. I'm like, all right, fine. We go in the studio. I go in ahead of time. I go in like 3-4 hours before. I make absolute trash for 6 hours. I'm trying. Nothing's coming up. I remember this beat that I had where I sampled Cool in the Game, which was also, as we all know, used for the Scenario remix. Joe hears that. His ears perk up. We cut Pump It Up in 2 hours. We live with it for one night. We come back in the next day. We make a few changes. And that's that. The record comes out. Pardon me. And the rest was history. You know, that was, you know, to this day, it's one of those things that, or one of the reasons, I should say, why I always say music finds its way to where it's supposed to go. You know,
and that's that Jersey shit, man.
No, it is, but
it's that Jersey shit. Come on, Jersey.
Real
but
quick,
it's not just that. Ultimately, right?
And we the nicest. Fuck that shit.
We like, your light is much better right there. Please, stay right there.
Oh no, today is bad light day. I'm like, they done call me Michael Jackson, accuse me of cake soap and everything.
The BMX light back there. Freeze, but yeah,
that's all he's waiting on is your light.
No. I want to ask him something.
Next time, just text me and let me know that I need to move over.
But
the whole thing with that record, it was the first time, or one of the, actually might have been the first time that I really, even though Focus was out, like people look at that record as the moment that Joe Budden broke as an artist.
Man,
right?
You know, so for me that was an accomplishment. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I was just in the trenches.
And then You Got Served, just the movie.
See, so you know, wait, how old are you, Godfrey?
Guess.
How old are you, Godfrey?
He's older than you.
Then how do you know that?
He older than all of us.
Yeah.
He older than all of us.
I remember signing off on the You Got Served license. I don't remember, but I've never seen any of the movies, and I'm just messing with you. But the reason I bring that up is because so many people use that as a point of reference, but it's always kids on social media, and I'm like, yeah, I've still never seen it.
That dance battle scene was. Whew,
I had to do my due diligence and watch it. That and I think it not Fast. Yeah, it was in Fast and Furious too.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was with the first one
around the same time.
Yeah,
Joe. I'm calling it Joe. Just while we're on the subject of music that you might be sitting on, I got an album worth of shit. Please talk.
Many albums worth of many things.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So please talk to me about Jay Electronica.
Nah, you know what? His journey has been
so
personal. His journey has been so personal and so private.
Because I love the shit he was doing
as a family member, and I do. Out of there's very few rappers that I consider family, right? Like Jay would be one. Prodigy would have been another one. Buster would be one. Jay Electronica would be one. I don't want to speak on his journey and what it took for him to get to where he got to. Do I have an album worth of stuff with Jay Electronica? Yes. Would I speak on the circumstances? No, that's on his time. But I do
you ain't gotta speak on
I'm trying to give you a gem. I'm trying to give you a gem. I do have some great songs with him. I also have a few songs that I recently found with him and Mos Def when they were thinking about forming a group. That I didn't realize I had the masters to. I mean, I knew I had them. I just didn't know where they were. We've recently found those. But, here's the thing. As somebody who's been clickbaited 1,000 times, and I'm not saying that you would do this, but as somebody who has been through that, all I can say is there's more music. What he wants to do is on him. That's my brother. I still speak to, we still catch up on birthdays, holidays, and every couple of weeks just to say hello. Whenever I catch, whenever it's 5:04, like on the clock, I send it to him like, boom. It's the New Orleans hour. Every once in a while, I'll come across a lesson or something related to knowledge itself. I'll send it to him, and to be honest, between that and his knowledge, the reasons that I'll put it this way and I'll close it out with this. The reason that me and Jake connected was because of knowledge itself and because of Mexican mythology.
Really?
Yeah. So, Jamar, I'm sure you know Rashad Smith, Tumbling Dice.
Yes.
So Rashad was how we met. Rashad used to send me freestyles, and then this was back in the days of Instant Messenger. And Jay actually stole my Instant Messenger. I don't know if he stole it from Rashad or if he stole it from Erica, but he stole it from one of the two. And he started hitting me. So we would get we would have conversations, but our conversations were always just about life. And then life and just try to how to succeed in the business, but he never sent me music. And then one day Rashad sent me this freestyle where Jay mentioned Quetzalcoatl, who was from Mexican mythology. And it was this whole thing about the pyramids being from Mexico and from Egypt being connected. And I'm like, yo, how do you know about this? Like, first of all, I haven't heard anybody rap about this like in God knows how long. Second of all, this is something that I just, in my own pastime I've indulged in.
When he's talking about shrines from Peru, I was like,
exactly right. So
like
all that comes from his history, but also from our friendship. So he I hear him mention Quetzalcoatl on a record, and I'm like, what you know about Quetzalcoatl? So I could DM you, or I could text you right now. Whenever he and I text each other, the greeting is peace, Quetz. Like that's to this day, 10 years later, that's our bond.
Right.
So it goes beyond anything industry or anything business, and that's why he's
y'all are friends.
What's that?
I say y'all are friends. It ain't just we hooked up through music and
no. That's a lot. I feel like that's one thing. Like a lot of people abuse the term brother. or sister. Like I consider you my sister, even though I don't hang out like Jay do. We have history, we have a camaraderie, we have an understanding. Right. We come from the same place. I consider you my sister. You know what I mean? Like,
and back to you.
Right now, we were born within 20 minutes.
Back there. Look at all those plaques.
Are you walking through? Are you doing this?
I didn't want to interrupt him, but I was getting ready to say, you flexing right now.
Yeah,
you're giving us the panoramic view.
What did that?
No, we were showing us the length of your crib.
God damn it, show us them things.
Oh, I'm sorry. Godfrey, you have that's cool. I'll show that in a minute.
Godfrey,
me plenty of love.
What'd you say?
Godfrey, you have given me plenty of laughs and inspiration for a new haircut. Jamar, you have, and you like. Listen, I can sit here all day and recite your rhymes. I'm not going to do that, but I consider you all family in one way, in one way or another.
Well, this is dope.
That said, like I said, but the thing with Jay is, like, again, that's somebody that I have that connection with that goes past that point, and that's why I would never be like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is what he has. But I do all consider you deeply family, and I could honestly say 2 out of the 3 of you, I would not be here if it wasn't for you guys. Godfrey, you gave me inspiration for a new haircut.
The last time I met you, Just Blaze, was in LA. It was in Los Angeles. It was at the W Hotel on Hill Garden, Los Angeles. Yep, and you were showing me some crazy shit on your laptop. This is when I was doing 7-Up shit. That was when I was.
When you were doing the 7-Up commercials.
Mm-hmm. I was shooting 7-Up.
You had more hair back then.
Yeah, I had
just like me.
It was twisted all here from the side, and I saw you. You was like, "Yo, it was good," and it was like everybody went to that W Hotel in LA.
In Westwood.
What? In Westwood.
You in Westwood,
right?
Yep.
I would see Alicia Keys all the time. She was cool. I'd talk to her. I would see Tyson, Mike Tyson, Heavy D. Everybody came to that.
No, that was like the place to go. But if you were in the industry in that era, like early 2000s, and you had to stay at a hotel, you were staying there or the L'Hermitage in Beverly Hills. If you were worth a little bit more, you stayed at the L'Hermitage.
What about the Mondrian?
And if you were worth a little bit less, you would stay at the La Montrose in Hollywood.
Right, and so I saw you there.
Yeah, we were worth less because I remember staying at the La Montrose back in the days. That's where the record company put us at the La Montrose. I think that. Remember the La Park? La Park is another. It was like the La Montrose.
I remember the La Park. I never stayed there. I used to stay at the La Montrose until Eric Sermon React came out. I got the call from I got a random ass call. I didn't get a call from the label.
You've been upgraded.
Angie Martinez sent me a text like, "Yo, this Eric Sermon record is crazy." I text her back like, "What record? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Oh, me and Enough just played this Indian song." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So after that happened, and Eric will tell you, he was the first person to pay me an exorbitant amount of money for a record, partially because he put it out without clearing it, or right. But from then on, I went from the La Montrose to the L'Hermitage.
Yeah, because the 7-Up company put me.
That's funny.
Yeah, they put me over there, and I saw you. We hung out, and you were showing me some crazy shit on your laptop.
Now I remember because they were like, "Yo, he's down." I'm like, "Who?" They're like the 7-Up guy. I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go."
Hey, Josh, are there any I'm sorry, he's about to say something, guys.
No, go ahead.
Are there any artists, new artists now that you would consider doing, like working with, doing a project with? Anybody you feeling?
Yes.
They don't even got to be new. They could be new.
No,
I somebody you just haven't gotten to yet.
I just have to be careful about what I say, because there are NDAs in place and things of that nature. There is a movie coming out where I have a record in the closing credits with one of the biggest young rap stars of today.
Okay.
I can say, and I've said this.
Look, I'm about to say, take your pick. The baby Draco. I got you. I got you.
I say nothing. That aside, there is Griselda and the Blazettes, which
wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which there's been a few records in the can for a couple of years. I'm sorry, for about 2 years now. Shout out to Calendar. There's been a few records. And part of my thing with working on his last album was I just want to make sure that we can get those Griselda and the Blazettes records out, which they agreed to. So we have to figure out a plan for that for this year. And if anybody's been on Clubhouse or on Twitter, me and Absol have been shooting the breeze.
Have you been on Clubhouse a lot?
I probably have like yeah.
And the EP that you were supposed to do with me. Yeah, right. Okay.
We can do that too.
Interview, yes.
I feel like as soon as I got back into a really creative space, because I did take a break for a while, just figuring out life.
Me too.
Had a baby.
Hey,
congrats.
Thank you. Who started DJing on his own at 6 months old. Had a house, built a house, tore it down, built another. Just trying to figure out,
shit.
Yeah, just trying to figure out life in general. Actually, another thing that I will say is outside of that, myself, my wife, a few of her partners, there's a new video game studio. I can't say too much about it, but if you look up, without giving away the biggest gems, if you Google Hollywood Reporter Brass Lion, you will see that there are some things in the works that are happening.
Now listen, I'm putting my bid in right now.
And
if you need any voiceovers for any
no, we're already calling you. You don't even know. I'm not even being funny.
Okay.
So here's the thing: there's a title and a podcast. There's a game title and a podcast attached to it. It takes place in 1996, and we are keeping the soundtrack, the language, the fashion, and everything authentic to that time period. So I'm not BSing when I say you're already on the list.
Oh, I'd like to be part of that.
What? But you're not. You got too much. No, I don't know. Let me see your hairstyle.
Well, you're not about to have Godfrey and Jamar on there and not me. I was rocking and I was moving and shaking in '96 too. Damn it.
So I'm gonna tell Digga's. I have to go after this. I'm gonna tell you. You recorded a song, and we've talked about this part of it briefly, but not the second part. You did a song produced by a kid called Roots. Do you have that song by any chance?
I got
This was back when you were dealing with Q-Tip and Violator.
I got a bag full of cassette tapes.
I was your assistant engineer.
I got a bag full of cassette tapes. I don't know what's on what tape, but I got ADATs and I just have to. That's crazy.
When Prez was working there.
When who was working there?
Dead Prez.
I watched that whole album get made. I assistant engineered a lot of those sessions. Incredible.
Right, with Nasty and all that. Yeah,
Nasty's one of my OGs.
That's what's up.
So yes, Digga, like you're. All right, hold on. Let me get the timeline straight. If y'all really want to get into it, quickly, there was a girl named Jane Doe.
I remember.
Anybody know Jane Doe, the rapper?
Yes.
So Jane Doe, for whatever reason, Tip took a liking to her.
She's from Brooklyn, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And Digga, I think you were doing a Violator thing around the same time. Am I wrong?
Well, I was signed to Q-Tip first. I signed to Q-Tip in '96.
Right.
I was just Violator by default.
Right. Okay. So, and this is why I hold a special place for you. So, Jane Doe was an intern at the cutting room. She takes a week off because she had a stomach flu. Nasa calls me and asks if I can fill in for a week because she knows that it's my dream to just be in that environment and intern at a studio. Mm-hmm. I say, okay, I interned there for a week. The following week, Jane Doe signs the EMI. Mm. So she's not coming back to her internship, obviously. So they asked me if I want the internship. The following week is my first session, and it's you with that in that session at Tip Book with a kid called Roots doing the beat for you. Mm-hmm. And that literally changed the trajectory and path of my life.
Oh wow!
Look at that! Damn,
I was an influence. Oh
man, you are all over the damn like.
Look at me influencing baby just Blaze.
But I'm not finished because I used to also be the open mic DJ at the Pipeline in Newark.
Oh wow! You was just all over the damn place.
So
just all type of degrees of separation. 6'5". Oh.
Right, so you and Z and Slang and everybody used to come through, but there was one particular time, and I don't know if you remember this. I don't remember exactly where it was. I don't think it was Newark. I think it might have been East Orange. But you and Most Def played together back when, pardon my French, both of y'all were nobody at the time. You remember Moving Records in East Orange? It was a local record store. It was more known for dance music, but they were kind of like a figurehead in East Orange.
In East Orange, I'm sure. See, I didn't get to East Orange a lot until I started like on my please listen to my demo shit. I was just Newark the fuck out.
Right. No, but this was right at that time. Like,
so
this is why
Central Avenue. Central Avenue?
I would say it probably was Central Avenue. But here's why I'm ending it here. The day after I did that session, 2 days after I did that session, I'm DJing that open mic in East Orange, and you're there performing the record that you had just did with a kid called Roots. Yeah. And I had assistant engineered that session. So for me, it made it a lot more human, where it was like, oh,
sounds like some digger shit.
Yeah, but
sounds like some digger shit to do.
For me, it was a thing where it was like, oh, not only are these people just people that I see on TV, people that I see in the back of in a magazine, or here on the radio, they're actual human beings, and I can maybe do this too. Because I'm now.
I see. I got you.
What I'm saying?
I got you. That's dope. Because Latifah was that for me. That's dope.
Right.
I got you.
Y'all ain't just superheroes anymore. Like,
oh wow, that's crazy.
Y'all are actual people. No, like, dude, what was this? I forget the name of the studio in Beverly Hills. I'm walking through. I see Latifah. I'm walking past her, and I'm humbling myself. Like, it's Latifah. She's like, oh wait, Justin, you're not gonna say hi? And she called me by my government. And I'm like, oh, wow, hi. I didn't even know that somebody like me would be on your radar. So it's always humbling to be recognized by your idols and to sometimes play a part in the early parts of their success. And in some cases to have their rhyme books like X. So on that note, I love y'all.
Before we let you go,
way too much.
I want to know: is my boy Stove God Cooks on your radar? Do you know about him?
Who's that?
Stove God Cooks.
I've seen that name on Twitter, but I don't know anything else about him. I've seen the name pop up.
Look, he got something called Reasonable Drought. Check it out. Trust me when I tell you.
Okay.
All right.
Just send it, if it's something you want me to listen to, just text me the links. You got my direct number.
I got you. Yo, we appreciate you coming through. You said an hour, you gave us 2.
I appreciate you.
I love you, Judge.
Digga, I love you. Jamar, thank you for all
Peace
the
to your mother for tuning in and watching. Peace, Mom. We see you.
just we got some fans upset with me that one of the hardest producers and one of the hardest female rappers teamed up to make a house record.
No, don't get mad at that.
We owe them a PSA. I be telling them, yo, that record, they crazy. But we owe them a PSA. Digga Just style.
Nah, that's what we come from. Like
that's what I said. Like they don't be knowing, man.
The club music.
Jersey House, that's our shit.
That messed me up moving to Newark, or not moving to Newark, but going to school in Newark. Because I went to Rutgers in Newark. So at the time, it's Lords of the Underground, Outsiders is starting to bubble, Naughty by Nature. It's the mid '90s. So I'm thinking I'm gonna come out there and it's just gonna be, everything that I see on BET on Rap City. And every other car is driving by blasting a percolator. But every other car is driving by blasting a percolator. I'm like, oh, I'm at home.
Yo, that's Jersey all fucking day.
So it was good to be able to deliver that in a
that
way
was home.
Yeah, like when you said, yo, because to be honest, when I did that record with Joe, I did it in LA. So, fun fact, the girl talking on that record is the girl from Shorty Swing My Way, the light skin one.
Oh wow.
So, but I'm not home, so I'm trying to channel that home energy, but it's not the same. But when we did it, it was like, even though Joe's from Jersey as well, but when you and I did it, it was like, oh, we can go all the way there.
Yeah, I'm a real house head.
Right.
I
can't see, like, I could see you at what you call it, at Zanzibar.
I was.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I can't really see Joe at Zanzibar. So I kind of put a little extra oomph in it just because I felt that much closer to it when we did it.
Word.
Anyway, I love you guys. I gotta run.
Love you. Mwah.
Thank you,
Talk
Jeff.
soon. Jamar, yo, guys, can you send me your barber's info, please?
I'm gonna send you my barber's info.
Nah, look, like it's about to be a wrap. I don't got much left.
You got the daddy head.
Love, I'll talk to y'all in a minute.
All right, man.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just Blaze, y'all.
Word.
Dude.